Beautiful morning to you. Welcome. Now,
let's go straight ahead.
Yeah, the organized labor. The organized labor.
No, even before organized labor, there's something important I want to talk about.
Okay,
today.
okay.
Is this attempt to create a new political ministry of livestock? Let's be careful. Nigeria does not have the money to run its budget effectively as we speak today. This same government was talking about a Rufai report. You were talking about organized labor. They want to go, the workers also want to go on strike because of money. I think Kanu has started their local strike today. And at the same time, this government is trying to create a new ministry. The Ministry of Livestock will not solve farmer headers crisis. Farmer headers crisis have been politicized. It's politics. In a country where, when the Senate was debating, passing a bill to ensure ranching for cattle, some senators came up to defend the right of cows, saying cows have rights in this country. So you think by pandering to them, you think that's the way forward. What will solve the crisis is a true will by the government to seize the politicization of this country and remind actors in the herding business that it is a business. You don't have a politicization of farmer header crisis in large beef producing countries. Go and check the first 10 beef producing countries in the world. Nigeria does not even rank in those countries. So countries that have more herds of cattle than us don't even have all the problems we're having. We know that most of this is politicized to the point where people have even muted the idea that some people are using it to grab land. Let's stop deceiving ourselves. So this new bureaucracy President Tinubu has set up now, who's going to pay for it?
It's a big question.
Who is going to pay for it? We don't have the money at this point in time. Chidi, sorry, I just have to get that off my chest because it's a very important matter. Sorry, I apologize.
All right. Okay, let's get down to it now. Some persons have said 250K is too much. I wanted to just get your own take as regards this.
Say that again, sir.
250,000 naira minimum wage. These guys are still insisting that there is no going back. Recently, I heard some persons say, well, Labour might just decide to at least calm down a little. But here, First Oseni is saying that 250K pay is what they are bargaining for, nothing more, nothing less.
But these days, I don't even blame Labour again. Even if I know that 250K might not be realistic. But the government can have money to go and create a new ministry. And they can't pay minimum wage.
That's a big one.
So, sometimes it's so even hard to defend the government. But the government, this same government that has been working on this minimum wage issue, have the temerity to announce a new ministry. But they can't pay. They cannot pay minimum wage of the pre-existing ministry because of politics. So what kind of country are we running? Let's ask ourselves. What kind of country are we running?
And of course, right now, the senators are predicting imminent nationwide strike.
How would you have it? But how would you have it? Strikes and protests. In fact, I was seeing a communique the other day that the police was saying all the permission to get ready for protest. I'm not saying protest should be violent, but people have the right to protest. Because when you look at it, it speaks volumes on how the country is run. You are just going. This is the same government that talked about Oseni. What was Oseni report about? Cutting cost of government, and you are creating a new ministry. After we complained that the ones you created were already too much. And the question is, the so-called new ministries you created, what have we seen in them? What have they done? To start creating new ministries?
Well,
as we're creating new ministries, there's this story. NMPC is eyeing 2 billion crude oil for cash loan.
Just about touching that too.
For cash loan, they're trying to raise another $2 billion.
$2 billion.
For cash loan. We have fuel scarcity, which a lot of people are saying is because, like, Reuters carried the story that NNPC can't meet its financial encumbrances. That's why. To those international traders it buys crude from. All of these are happening. We are still creating new ministries. All of these are happening. We are still creating. So this government makes it so hard for you to defend. A lot of ill thought out decisions, a lot of lack of thinking, a lot of lack of planning, a lot of very haphazard, greedy going on.
And of course, a 400 billion naira oil production shortfall is actually threatening 2024 budget.
Would there be a shortfall? The question we should ask today is, how would there be a shortfall when NNPC have not been able to stop producing? NNPC has not been able to do what they promised. NNPC moved into a private company, said it was going to be run efficiently. The inefficiencies continue. Maybe that time when they were broadcasting, NNPC Limited, energy for today, energy for tomorrow. I know it's energy for Sapa. It's energy for Sapa, energy for Sapa, energy for pain. That's the kind of country we have built.
Well, I looked at Daily Post this morning. Tinubu only interested in re-election. You know, this livestock ministry also. He's not just interested in any livestock ministry. He's interested in re-election.
So should we now be playing the politics of re-election at the expense of the suffering people of Nigeria? Is that what the country has become now?
And we have 3 years to go.
Is that what the country has become? It's always about the political class and their whims and caprices and what makes them happy. What about the people? I wrote my observation of the last election. In a book titled Penkelemes. All the observations and all my fears for Nigeria are still the same. I'll give you a copy of that book today to read. When I see you. I'll give you a copy of that book to read. When I see you.
Okay.
All the concerns, all the politicization, all the rubbish going on is still there. And these were my concerns before the elections. This was why I kept on shouting. People kept on calling me all sorts of names. Anyway, Yorubas have a saying, Lenny. When you speak the truth, you be unlocked with a lot of people. But my vindications are strong today. We did not need a leader. I didn't care who is in the seat, but we needed a system of integrity, and that's what I kept on fighting for. It was not about any candidate. We needed a system of integrity, like Gerollis was saying, that we need a system of integrity. Even if it's the devil that gets on that seat, it will be difficult for him to do bad. Have we not been there today now? Are we not in that dire strait? Are we not in that pain? Are we not in that pain?
I also heard that the federal government is about to send about 2,700 fertilizer trucks, to states, distribute to states, like, the form of palliative.
Fertilizer is not today they've been distributing fertilizer. It's not today they've been distributing. In fact, during Akinwumi Adesina, we had a very defined system that helped to distribute fertilizer. But what happened to all of those fertilizer products? It's not today we've been giving subvention. It's the effectiveness of making it work. That's what that matters.
So, before I let you go, for you said this is a no to livestock ministry, right?
No. Not at this time. Are you going to, okay, I'll give you an instance, Judy.
Okay.
Funding for that budget for that ministry, it's not in this last budget that passed. Maybe they will now rush it in a supplementary budget.
Wow.
So they have to take a supplementary budget for this.
It's okay.
The 28th of May 2023, a day before the inauguration of Nigerian President Mr. Bola Ahmed Tinubu, his wife and First Lady of Nigeria, Mrs. Oluremi Tinubu, said this.
Nigeria's wealth is the common wealth of all. It belongs to everyone. God has blessed my family. We don't need the wealth of Nigeria to survive, but to do the right thing.
Now, if you don't believe her, here's some proof for you. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is said to be worth several hundreds of millions of dollars. A vast real estate holdings, as well as investments scattered around energy and a handful of other sectors of the Nigerian economy. But it's not only the president's family that has done well for themselves now. Here is Nyesom Wike, the current minister of the Federal Capital Territory of Nigeria. He's said to be one of the richest former governors in Nigeria. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar is said to own several properties in Dubai. And there are lots of other politicians with business holdings and investments scattered around the country. This has left me wondering, if politicians are just public servants, why are they so rich and the people they serve so poor? In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how these folks get to be so wealthy. We will look at the laws that have enabled some of these politicians to take advantage of the system and how this affects you, the average Nigerian. President Bola Tinubu worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Nyesom Wike worth millions of dollars. George Akume worth millions of dollars. Guess what all these men have in common? They are all career politicians who have been directly or indirectly involved in government since Nigeria's return to democracy in 1999. But there's another thing all three have in common that will be very relevant to our story much later, and that is they were all former governors of their respective states for 8 years. Now, while politics in Nigeria has become something for the highest bidder, there seems to be a reason why. That could be the high returns involved. And I'm not talking about the looting or embezzlement we immediately associate with politicians now. Rather, I'm talking about the insane salaries and allowances that these people accumulate throughout their time in office. Added to all of these benefits, some politicians have also found ways to build highly profitable companies from the ground up as a result of government contracts they get while in office. And when their time is up, they also get something called a severance package that is sometimes worth 300% of their basic salaries as presidents, governors, senators, or other political office holders. Now, let's start with the salaries and you'll see what I mean. This is Tunde, an average Nigerian graduate looking for a federal government job that pays the minimum wage, just so he can afford to feed and stop depending on his poor mother, who has been catering for his basic needs ever since his father died. Tunde's worth, according to the federal government of Nigeria, is 30,000 naira. That is less than $30 for an entire month's labor. Now, to put this in perspective, it would take Tunde 50 years of saving his entire salary to get 1 year's basic salary of a Nigerian senator that earns 1.5 million naira monthly and still gets another 52 million naira in office running allowances. And what is the job of this senator again? Yes, they made the law that kept the minimum wage at 30,000 naira, while JAS is set at 1.5 million naira per month. But then something crazy happened. There's this body saddled with the responsibility of determining how much is appropriate for political office holders in Nigeria, including the president, vice president, governors, deputy governors, ministers, even commissioners, and to cap it all, the legislators inclusive. This body is known as the Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission. Their job, among others, is to monitor the increase and disbursement of revenue from the Federation account and reviewing from time to time the amount being allocated to different things, especially salaries. What happened was that this body woke up one morning and said that they realized that Nigerian politicians were suffering too much. So they needed to adjust the salary structure to help these politicians survive the difficult times we live in. Yeah, I'm not kidding. Guess what? They proposed a 114% increase in the salaries of these political office holders, including the president, vice president, governors, lawmakers, as well as judicial office holders. Remember Tunde with his 30,000 naira per month salary? He is not getting any of this increase, even though his cost of living just shot through the roof as a result of the recent removal of fuel subsidy, which I talked about in this video linked right up here. Well, Nigerians cried out, and that chambers. The House of Representatives takes the bulk with 60 billion naira and the Senate takes 40 billion naira. This means the 360 members of the lower chamber have 60 billion to initiate, implement, or complete projects in their various constituencies, while the 109 members in the Senate have 40 billion to do the same. But the implementation is where the math changes. Only a fraction of the said amount budgeted for each chamber gets to the lawmakers. The fraction comes after a series of deductions are made. Starting with the leadership of the House now, out of the 40 billion naira budgeted for the Senate, it is said that the leadership of the chamber takes 20 billion to fund projects in their own constituencies. The remaining 20 billion goes to about 100 other members of the chamber. But you have to note here that the 20 billion naira special funding for the chamber's leadership does not exclude the said leadership from benefiting in the general fund, as they still nominate projects to be funded with the balance of 20 billion naira. Even though the projects are advertised in line with the Public Procurement Act, only contractors nominated by the lawmakers are often awarded these contracts. At times, some lawmakers nominate companies in which they have interest in, like companies belonging to friends and family members. In some cases, contractors awarded jobs only move the cash to the lawmakers' accounts, who nominated them for the contracts in the first place, and these contracts remain unimplemented. In one exclusive interview, former Nigerian Senator Shehu Sani disclosed how the constituency projects are given on a zonal basis, with almost every senator going with a constituency fund of about 200 million naira. But if the senators are not given direct access to this money, how do they benefit from the funds? One of the means used is by inflating the budgets of government agencies. For instance, the Small and Medium Enterprise Development Agency of Nigeria, an agency under the Ministry of Trade and Investment, had its budget upped to 14.85 billion from 11.02 billion. Similar suspicious appropriation can be seen in the budget of the Border Communities Development Agency, which is domiciled under the office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. Lawmakers raised the agency's budget from the 3.73 billion proposed by former President Muhammadu Buhari to 5.46 billion naira. The Independent Corrupt Practices Commission has accused these two agencies of budget overpricing as a channel for embezzling funds. In August 2019, the ICPC recovered items such as motorbikes, grinding machines, and tricycles estimated to be worth 170 million naira, stored in a compound reportedly belonging to Senator Chukwuka Utazi, who is representing Enugu North Senatorial District in Enugu State. In another instance, in 2022, a report implicated a senator representing Benue North East Senatorial District, where the project he sponsored belonged to City Science and Technical Academy, a school he owns. In Abuja, a training and empowerment program for women and youths worth over 149.9 million naira was reportedly awarded to Aljabi Integrated Nigeria Limited, but against the due process policy of the federal government, as the company is said to be owned by a certain Sokodabo Hamza, a relative of the sponsoring lawmaker. In a similar case of abuse of office, a contract worth 199.9 million naira was said to have been awarded to Sinti Nigeria Limited by the Sokoto Rima Basin Authority in November 2020. It was later found that the company belongs to the sponsor of the project, a certain Jibril Barrel of Kanu Senatorial District. Now, in most constituencies across the country, voters have been brainwashed by their representatives into believing that constituency projects such as roads, water projects, electricity distribution, and a whole lot of others are being personally funded by these lawmakers, contrary to the fact that constituency and other projects are actually funded by the government with public funds. And when they are done using the public money to award multi-million-dollar contracts to companies owned by their friends and loved ones, at the end of their term in office, these politicians are able to secure their financial future by connecting a pipe to the national treasury through something called Severance package. Holding a political office in Nigeria allows one to be paid for a lifetime. As approved by the Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission, political office holders are entitled to 300% of their annual salary as a severance package. In addition, some ex-governors will be paid 100% of their annual basic salary for life after leaving office. Remember that current President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was the governor of Lagos State, and there are several other former governors serving in the current administration. So here's the deal. They all have a pension for life, but they are not alone. The large severance packages for the president, vice president, state governors, legislators, and other political appointees that left office in May 2023 was put at a whopping sum of 63.45 billion naira. This was money paid by the Nigerian government to people leaving office. According to this revenue mobilization body, the former President Buhari will get a severance pay of 10.5 million naira, while former Vice President Osinbajo will receive 9.09 million. The 8 special advisors in the presidency are expected to get 5.8 million naira each, totaling 46.64 million naira. They would also get new cars every 3 years, a house in any part of the country, free medical care, as well as furniture allowance and car maintenance allowance. They are also entitled to cooks, stewards, gardeners, and other domestic staff, among other perks, including policemen and Department of State Services operatives for life. According to civil society group SERAP, there are governors collecting